Welcome back to the Contested Long Twos podcast. I'm Scott Levine, here with Contested Long Twos writer Brian Kane.
Hello, everyone.
And
nice
Contested Long Twos, yes, thank you. Sorry for cutting you off there.
It's all right.
And also Contested Long Twos contributor Ethan Giles.
I'm also head of marketing. I'm going to make this clear.
All right, Contested Long Twos contributor and head of marketing Ethan Giles.
Thank you.
Can you give us
now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Can you give us a quick jingle?
Contested Long Twos.
And a quick slogan. What's our slogan?
Presented by Stamps.com.
All right.
Amazing.
I thought we were sponsored by the post office.
No, that was Henry Sims' experience.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
That.
No, I'm head of
that. Yeah.
I'm head of marketing. This is we switched to Contested Long Twos. We need to get a new brand. Post office is the past. The future is Stamps.com. Are you tired of going to the post office? Stamps.com.
All right. So we'll start with some game recaps brought to you by Stamps.com. I will skip the planned intro I had because that was cool. So let's get right into it. So a contentious topic in the Contested Long Twos kind of back rooms, with the cigars and the wine and all that.
Where the magic happens.
How is Harrison Barnes good? So
We're diving right in.
Yeah.
So Brian stated that he thinks Harrison Barnes will be a breakout star in his latest prediction article.
I did.
Obviously, there is a lot we need to see from Harrison Barnes, which means that there's a lot we can try to deduce from how Harrison Barnes will play on the Mavericks. But we've already seen one game; he played fine. What did that help your case? Do you think that worsened it? Where do you stand on Harrison Barnes now after one game? Rapid reaction.
I think I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about the prediction. He had a tough time in the playoffs. He was left wide open. He obviously lost his head a little bit. Wasn't making open shots. I like to see
say
him,
that again.
Wasn't making open shots. I liked to see him. He hit a clutch three to tie the game, send it to overtime. It seemed like there was some confidence there. He might be feeling out his zone, and I think he's got a good environment to grow in Dallas. And I'm going to stick by that for now. I realize he had an awful preseason, but of the games that count, he's done fine so far.
I honestly haven't watched his first game or any of him during the preseason, so I don't have a lot of information to go on here. That being said, the question is, can Rick Carlisle make up for A, his faults, and B, the faults of the team around him? He'll do a decent... I think he'll be fine. He won't be terrible. He'll be worth putting on the floor. I don't think he's going to be an all-star or anything, but he'll be their best wing. What that means, I'm not really sure.
That's kind of how I feel about Harrison Barnes as well. After his polarizing... I think he obviously has the polarizing persona when you combine his playoff performance with his potential. Yeah. It's just, you have such a wide range of opinions.
People have always loved, crapping on Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, even in University of North Carolina, he was the first freshman to be ranked to the preseason all-first team, and then he wasn't that caliber player at that time. And yeah, this has kind of been the story. So this is just another
opportunity
episode in the saga of Harrison Barnes gets a reward for something he hasn't done yet.
Yeah.
So let's just maybe pump the brakes on this one. Was what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I think that he'll be people are going to go out of their way to insult him when he screws up. That was true with the Warriors. That was true on Team USA. And when messed up, he didn't leave the bench, and people found that hilarious. Right? There's no. It's going to be hard for him to impress people. But if he's does mediocrely, that's not a bad thing.
Remember when the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead?
No.
Okay, me neither.
Oh, God.
All right, so we're moving on to other games that have happened. Last night, one of the ones most fresh in my head is Celtics-Bulls. The Bulls made a lot of three-pointers. So do you think just Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler and Rondo can shoot threes now? Oh, that was a really Chris Mannix narrative. Wow. So they can't. We're going to talk about it, though.
Yeah, so Rondo can't. That's not happening. Butler, probably not. Dwayne Wade shot decently in the playoffs, and I'd be surprised if that actually continues, but, maybe. I never, was he ever, Did he ever try to shoot threes? Really?
That's what I was gonna. It's never been a part of his game. Is the thing, and I don't know. It did. Like I haven't heard any headlines about him working on his 3-point shot. I'm sure that would have been relevant among sports writers in the offseason because that's all they talk about is players working on the 3-point shot
or who's ever in the best shape of their life.
Exactly. So I don't see it become just overnight becoming like a reliable part of his game. No. Is the thing. He's still going to make his mid-range jumpers. He's still going to get his paychecks from there. I can see Jimmy Butler developing into a 3-point shooter just because of he has great work ethic and he's an athletic, talented guy.
Yeah.
I really thought I'd be excited to watch the Bulls this season. After watching a little bit of that game and just hearing us talk about the Bulls, how they can't shoot, I think I'm already out on them. I think I don't need to watch another Bulls game.
I'm just interested to see what it looks like because I didn't watch the Celtics Bulls game, so I just saw the highlight of Wade hitting the 3 at the end.
Yeah.
If they hit threes, they're going to be awful to watch because then I'll just be mad that it's working.
Well, not only was that the only unsustainable method of the way they were able to win, but when Celtics were clawing back into it in the second half, in the fourth quarter, it turned out what saved them were 2 consecutive baskets of Taj Gibson posting up Al Horford and just taking him to the cleaners. So
that's
if you can rely on Rondo, Wade, and Butler hitting threes and Taj Gibson having his way in the post, then that could be a 50-win team. All right, we reached our Bulls quota for the day.
Actually, can I?
No.
The MCW trade.
Oh God, say what you need to say.
Like, assuming that Wade, Rondo, and Butler don't magically develop a 3-point shot, who thought that was a good fit?
I don't know. No one.
Someone explain this to me.
All right, so another point of contention we need to talk about is the Portland Clippers game that happened later that night. And that kid must have had a cool day at school, as Reggie Miller said. We can always rely on Reggie Miller for substantive commentary. And if you didn't see this, Brian,
I did not.
Mason Plumlee and DeAndre Jordan got into it on the sideline. There was a kid sitting courtside near the baseline. Kid starts crying because Mason Plumlee and DeAndre are like jawing at each other right in front of him.
Oh man!
And then the camera pans over to him 5 times during the game. They ended up offering him a Mason Plumlee jersey, but
not a DeAndre jersey though.
It was a Portland game.
Yeah, that's disappointing. I would have kept.
Not only was it a Mason Plumlee jersly, but it was also sleeved.
Oh no! He was already having such a horrible day.
But I feel like the most appropriate Mason Plumlee jersey is one with sleeves.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
If you're gonna wear a Mason Plumlee jersey, you may as well go all out.
Did they just jump at the opportunity to move a Mason Plumlee sleeve jersey off the team store?
Yeah,
yeah.
They probably offered him more, and he was like, "One's enough."
You can have all the Mason Plumlee sleeve jerseys you want, kid.
We really don't want them.
We're probably going to trade him soon. We don't have that many good centers and a lot of mediocre ones.
If the kid was smart, he would have kept up the act and held out for a Lillard jersey.
Or at least
McCollum.
Yeah. If you can't get
or an Evan Turner jersey.
You're already crying, just roll with it.
I'd want an Evan Turner jersey. Speaking of mediocre big men, though, Embiid played his first game last night.
I mean, if he was playing right now.
No, that was a complete joke. He's going to be awesome, hopefully.
Yeah.
He scored 20 in 20 minutes, right? Yeah.
Yep. He's just he gets the ball, and then he clearly wants to score every single time he touches. Yep. He didn't get an assist the entire preseason.
Yeah.
He doesn't think about passing, really. And then when he does pass, he immediately wants it back in the post. That being said, he's super entertaining because he just tries to, he has really quick feet and, cool moves, but he also tries to overpower guys. And, Steven Adams couldn't guard him, which was kind of...
Joel Embiid knew that.
Yes, yeah. He yelled, "He can't guard me," in reference one of the best defensive centers in the entire league. It was fantastic. And defensively, the way that he can block shots and move around is so impressive. He can guard point guards at times. The chase down block he had at the end of the game was insane. So if he can just learn to pass, then we have the full package there.
I agree. it was great seeing him in the preseason when we went to UMass. Just seeing the way he moves.
Yeah.
In the words of Outkast, I like the way he moves.
Yes.
And it was great to see Sixers actually compete against a team that I think is pretty good. You obviously can have your own opinions on the Thunder. I think they're still a pseudo-playoff team.
Yeah, they're an NBA team. We competed with an NBA team.
Yeah,
this is amazing.
This is important. Yeah.
This is, I haven't seen this for ever really. So this is interesting.
Embiid has lifted you guys out of JV status.
Yeah, it's really nice. Also, Sergio Rodriguez too.
Oh.
He had 9 assists and did some really cool stuff.
Oh, okay. Wait, how did Saric do?
He missed a lot of shots.
Okay.
All right.
I was intrigued about him going into the season.
I still am. But. If he can learn to shoot, then he'll be fine. But he needs to do that. Also, Embiid's form was fantastic. Shooting form was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Also that night was the Anthony Davis game. Hopefully the first of many this season.
Yeah.
He didn't quite do this on a regular basis last season. Did it a lot the season before. Mm-hmm. Looks to be this season hopefully more like the 2015 than the 16 one. And 50 points. And they still lost. How much of it was just Anthony Davis being awesome, and how much of it was the fact that they put the lumbering Nikola Jokic on him?
Ooh. Mm. I think it's Anthony Davis is a freak, and I think the NBA missed him a lot last year. The Pelicans are going to lose a ton of games, so I want to see Anthony Davis, no matter who he's playing, try to go for 50 every night. Because what do you have to lose if you're the Pelicans?
Yeah, did Jokic being on him help? Of course. At the same time, he made a bunch of incredible plays in transition where there was 4 guys around him and he just stepped over 3 of them and put it in the basket. He can do that whenever he wants, or at least go for 30 whenever he wants, and he probably have to this season because that team is terrible.
Yeah, definitely. Buddy Hield, another player that we were going to watch. Ethan just shook his head. Really looked kind of like early stage Austin Rivers. I think he might break the New Orleans Pelicans record for worst rookie season.
Yikes.
Of course, that might be an overstatement, but that being said, he did not look good in his opening debut.
There were a lot of commentators on ESPN that picked, way more than I was expecting, picked him to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he probably has a chance. I'm probably
he was the sexy pick because it's the guy who he's going to get into the league and he'll be good, but he won't really get that much better. And he's terrible right now.
Yeah.
He missed his whole thing is that he can shoot. He looked terrible shooting. The shots weren't close to going in. His layups weren't close. He had one nice one, but everything besides that just off the rim clank. It was bad.
I think that's why I compared him to Austin Rivers, is because that's what the layups reminded me of.
Yeah.
Desperate heaves that really have no chance, like we saw in Austin Rivers' career earlier.
Yeah. So if people were right and he doesn't get better than what he is now, then he's going to be terrible throughout his career. At the same time, like we've said before, the pre-draft rep of guys kind of doesn't always match up. We've got Jabari Parker, who everyone just thought was a non-athletic shooter and now can't shoot and just dunks on people.
Yeah.
So you don't really know what his career is going to develop into. That being said, it doesn't look good right now.
Yeah, and Jabari Parker was 19 when he came into the league. Buddy Hield is already 23 or 22.
Yeah.
And I think people just assumed he would be good right away because he's not going to get better. But it's not they're mutual. They're not mutually exclusive.
You can be good in college, not good for the pros, and then not get better.
Yeah. he had the type of game that everyone fell in love with last year anyway, so that definitely contributed to it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And on the Nuggets front, no one really stood out. It was good to see them use the Nurkic-Jokic twin big lineup. Obviously, didn't quite work out against Anthony Davis, but then again, nothing they would have done probably would have.
Yeah.
Is this going to work? I don't really like it.
With the Nuggets in general?
Yeah.
No, they need to trade people. They just have a lot of talent at every single position throughout their team, but they need, if they want to actually compete in a season and have a good record, they need to get people that actually fit together well. I'm not ripping them for that. I think that what they've done is kind of admirable and their talent is cool, but they need to kind of consolidate at points.
I really wasn't a huge fan of seeing Jokic at the power forward.
No, I didn't do a lot. He's more of a center.
Yeah, definitely.
It's too slow for a modern NBA.
Exactly. So I think there's a better chance that he learns how to protect the rim than he learns how to switch out on pick and rolls.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Someone who can do both of those things, though, is Karl Anthony Towns. We saw them play the Grizzlies on, what was it, Yeah, that was also
2 nights ago.
that was also
It was
2 nights
Wednesday.
ago,
Yep.
and it's all kind of a blur right now. It's been a bunch of basketball. Did you see anything new from Towns?
He took a couple of step back threes, which was interesting to me. I don't think anything new. I think he already has the skill set he needs to be one of the most dominant players in the league, and it's just a matter of honing those skills and getting more confidence with them. And like what I saw in that game was the Timberwolves are still showing their youth, and I don't know if I expected that or didn't coming into this year. I thought Thibodeau would have an effect on that, and he probably will down the road.
Yeah.
But Towns is going to be one of the best centers in the league. He might be this year. He definitely, I think, will be next year.
Yeah. I think he makes the All-Star team this year.
Yeah,
Wow.
I could see it.
Hey now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it happens. He's so good.
So when do they trade Rubio?
Do they have to trade Rubio?
If
Yes.
they like Dunn, then you think that they'd want
They have to.
Yeah.
I'll say trade deadline or off season. I
Okay,
think he lasts the year.
last of the year.
What team do you think Rubio would fit well with?
Any team that has a lot of shooting
True.
needs a lot. So not the Bulls.
Not the Bulls.
Anyone but the Bulls.
Or the Spurs. He wouldn't be good in the Spurs.
Or maybe as like the Manu type role.
Okay, then maybe.
Ricky Rubio to the Spurs, confirmed. All right, sources tell the vertical.
Book it.
We have to break more stories on contested long.
Yeah,
teams.
I
Sure we
agree.
do.
Like in terms of like
We
head
are
of,
really lacking.
and it's really hard to market if we don't get break stories.
Yeah.
We gotta. Yeah.
Maybe we
gotta
need
get
to
the hot
write
takes.
a puff piece about Scott Brooks.
And then we'll get all the Wizard stories.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Scott Brooks is great.
You
On a
know,
serious note, I refuse to watch the Wizards this season. I'm like putting my foot in the ground. I love John Wall. Bradley Beal's going to get hurt, and then I'll see the Scott Brooks offense again. And I don't want to see the Scott Brooks offense again.
Yeah.
They finally got rid of Whitman. They had a chance, and they blew it.
It would be great for the NBA if JohnAll was traded.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want a free John Wall game.
to the Spurs too. Put both of them on the Spurs.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Everyone should go to the Spurs.
Yeah.
And another game that happened 2 nights ago, since we're just all talking about them, is Rockets-Lakers. And this was quite a spectacle.
Yes. Spectacle is a word.
Yeah.
I was watching it and I thought it resembled like if you were watching a pickup game between like two track teams that were really good at basketball.
Yeah.
They just had a couple good shooters, you know.
The pace was crazy. Harden was, getting up and down the floor, and it seemed like in the first half he was more like really focused on assists. And I don't know how much he's stat chasing this year, but he was finding Clint Capella on alley oops. He was, finding open shots every possession.
Yeah.
So
If you're James Harden and you have like what people think your mental thing is already, and I feel weird judging that, but at the same time it's
there.
kind of shown, yeah.
Yep.
And B, you see that the Warriors exist. Why wouldn't you stat chase in an
Yeah.
D'Antoni offense?
Sure.
It's going to be right there for you. You're going to be the point guard in the D'Antoni offense. You should average like 20 and 20.
I saw Kevin Pelton prediction, or no, it was Mark Stein, who said that James Harden is going to go full Tiny Archibald this season.
I saw that too. Yeah.
Lead the league in points and assists.
That's totally valid.
I put him 34 and 17.
I think just like Tiny Archibald's season, it's gonna be for a team that like either doesn't make the playoffs or is just like barely over 500. That gets swept under the rug. That Tiny Archibald probably didn't help his team that much by doing these things. But I don't think it'll be Harden's fault necessarily. I don't think that'll be the primary reason they miss the playoffs. I think they'll miss the playoffs because I thought they would be a bad defensive team. But watching that game, holy crap. Did Julius Randle look like Draymond Green or what?
Yeah, he was. They put him at small ball 5, and he could just beat people on the dribble.
He's absolutely dominant.
And like everyone was like, "Oh, they got Nene for so cheap."
We forget that Nene just plays basketball because he can get paid to do it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I see what they were going for there, but I don't
Like
know if
Nene
I
doesn't
like it.
care about the potential of Rockets. He's just like, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, it almost
Like that's a
felt,
known thing.
It felt down the stretch like the the Rockets weren't even really trying to win the game. They were just trying to outpace the Lakers. Like that was their actual goal. They didn't really care
Winning
about the
isn't
score.
everything.
Yeah.
And
they were like, we need to get the ball up the court in 2 seconds. We're not running a play.
2 seconds or less.
Yeah.
The great thing is they're locked into this roster for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and we're pretty much seeing the best it's ever going to be this year, unless Eric Gordon just sprouts another arm. I don't know.
It's Daryl Morey's not going to be there in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very valid prediction, but there are some bright spots that could develop despite the bad contracts. Clint Capella looked fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he can salvage this defense. I think that if they are an average or better defensive team, Clint Capella is the decoy.
Yeah,
I say that, one, because that's not going to happen, and two, because that's not going to happen. So I feel comfortable saying that Clint Capella has a chance to win Defensive Player of the Year. Definitely most improved, at least, if he can, put up double-doubles and seem solid as a rim protector. But he's going to just have to deal with so many shots at the rim after people beat Anderson, Gordon, and Harden off the dribble.
Yeah.
I don't really see this team reaching its full form until Pat Beverly comes back.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
And in my article, I'll just keep talking, I wrote that I think their best lineup in terms of net rating will be Beverly, Gordon, Harden, Ariza, and Capella. And, there is the chance that lineup's too small from dealing with the Blake Griffins and the LaMarcus Aldridges. My retort is, so you're going to put Ryan Anderson on Blake Griffin?
What if you put Ryan Anderson at the 5 instead of Capella?
Well, then he just gets roasted by...
You don't get it. But I feel like what you do is you just run pick and pops, and you get somewhat of an open 3 and hit it. And hopefully hit it at least. And hope that 3 points will be more than 2 the whole game.
The thing
then you're just a bad defense all over.
Yeah, it would be very bad defense.
But their only hope for the year is to outscore people.
Yeah.
They are going to have to average 130 points.
I mean,
a
it's
game
very hard to outscore people when you put Ryan Anderson as center. Trust me.
They have good Ryan Anderson, Eric Gordon. They have people that can shoot. James Harden's going to get him open shots.
Yeah.
I mean, he has for years too. Is the thing.
Yeah. No, they will score a ton of points per possession. That will be insane. And they'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
We need more NBA teams that don't care if they win the championship. It'll be fun to watch.
I definitely agree with that.
They're kind of like the best version of the Raptors.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Raptors aren't fun to watch.
No, because it's James Harden instead of DeMar DeRozan.
Yes, that is the difference.
DeMar DeRozan, who put up 40 on 17 mid-range shots.
Yeah. I think he took 27 total shots.
He needs to be our poster boy.
Contested long juice.
Yeah.
Official poster boy.
There was fear that the Sixers were going after DeMar DeRozan, and I use the word fear there very, very much
accurately.
So. And I'm lucky that the Raptors stepped up and didn't let him really hit the free agent market.
Yeah, and while the Rockets obviously were terrible defensively, that's not to disparage the performances offensively of D'Angelo Russell and Jordan Clarkson, and also Julius Randle. Maybe there is. Let's start with Randle. Maybe there's hope for this guy, because on paper he projects to be someone who's not very useful in the modern NBA, but he kind of defied his perception almost.
Yeah, I think he's someone that on a championship team would be a backup, a six man, the third big off the bench.
Antonio McDyess style.
Yeah, you run with the 5, you run with the 4, have interesting lineups around him. He won't you don't want to rely on him ever, but he can do some interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm. He exceeded people's expectations with his athleticism, right?
Yeah.
Because he was kind of a plotter coming out of college.
And his ball handling.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I was surprised with the way his touch inside. Again, it was over Nene and Ryan Anderson. Nene's actually an okay rim protector, but probably wasn't in a good position after Julius Randle probably beat him off the dribble.
Yeah.
And I was also kind of impressed with his perimeter defense. There was some instances in which he was switched out onto Eric Gordon. Maybe he can't guard the James Harden types, but barely any big man can.
Yeah.
And I think he can definitely fill that role as a guy who can switch off of pick and rolls. Maybe not as well as Larry Nance, who I thought was a better option starting at the 4, but I don't think Larry Nance is better at the 4 right now after seeing the unorthodox but cool things that Julius Randle could do that I didn't give him credit for.
Yeah.
The Lakers could win 30 games this year.
Yeah,
It's they went from a negative as a head coach to a positive as a head coach. which is huge. And they also went from a black hole, aging shooting guard to like a competent young team.
Yeah. I would take Randall over Nance right now too.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Nance is just he doesn't have any discernible skill outside of jumping. Really, he's kind of like Aaron Gordon light. With he doesn't have anything.
He's improved his cutting in defense, but it's still like not where you want it to be
Yeah.
if you're starting a player.
Right.
Like Julius Randle, his skills just kind of jump off the page, and he's not a world beater, but he can. You can point to a few things he can do, unlike Nance. Mm-hmm. And Mozgov looked fine. I'm gonna say it. Mozgov looked fine.
Yeah, he's looked fine for. I think he got too much flack for getting dunked on that one time.
Yeah,
he's always been a good player.
And he was also very bad last season. And so then when he gets a crazy contract, everyone just wants to say that he's not actually good at basketball.
Including us.
Yeah.
You can find a recording of us almost 3 months ago just laughing.
It was still a bad contract.
Yeah.
That doesn't change.
Yeah.
But, he can function on a court if his knees stay healthy.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was the concern that they just would never stay healthy again because he's like a 30-year-old plotting 7'1" big man.
If he's still healthy in 60 games, I'll be impressed.
Yeah. Also, how about Nick Young being a basketball player?
Playing some defense too.
Was he? I didn't notice. I saw him out there. I didn't pay that much attention to him.
Well, he
looked very competent on both ends of the floor, surprisingly. And him and D'Angelo Russell smiled at each other a couple times.
Wow.
Maybe Iggy Azalea was the problem.
Classic sports narrative. Blame the wife.
Yeah. Wife to be that never happened.
Yeah.
Because of D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, wow, D'Angelo Russell.
Saving Nick Young's basketball career.
Exactly. And we haven't even mentioned D'Angelo Russell yet.
Yeah, he was incredible.
And we didn't see it all game, but you saw it in the first quarter. It was Steph-like. And I don't use that lightly. He was just catching with split-second notice, launching it, had an off-the-dribble and 1-3, which is kind of doing D'Angelo Russell things.
Yeah, sure.
Which I believe are D'Angelo Russell things that I didn't know for a fact were D'Angelo Russell things prior to 2 nights ago.
I've noticed that he lands off of his three-pointer with wide legs. Whenever he shoots, he always comes down in a wide stance, which I found kind of interesting. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know much about shooting.
Just observations.
Yeah, he does it.
B-ball breakdown.
Yeah. He also has ice in his veins.
I was gonna say he's a great LA superstar basketball player because on that and 1-3 too. I don't know if we're supposed to swear on the pod,
go for it.
But he's coming up the court and he's giving the crowd this is my shit, right?
Yeah.
Just over and over again, and the announcers keep going, oh, he's saying this is my house, and the other announcer's like, I bet.
Yeah.
But you can just see him, he's going crazy, and he's great for a crowd.
Yeah, I mean, and you remember after the Summer League buzzer beater against the Sixers, he just walks to the microphone and goes, man, I played like shit, and then Jay Donde has to lecture him. So he seems terrible to be with, but he's very good at basketball.
I just like that he was able to channel his inner Gwen Stefani. Holla Batgirl. And also who kind of just had a sneaky good performance was Jordan Clarkson in the second half. As soon as the game devolved into jelly, Jordan Clarkson is used to just kind of making sense of all the chaos. That's what he's been doing for the last 2 years.
Yeah, he played with Kobe Bryant. That's all you can do as a leader.
So
he learned that skill.
He kind of thrives off terrible basketball. He's good at. He had that really nice cut that someone found him on for the layup. It might have been a missed shot. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And just looked very confident. And this was after a couple of my friends were like, hey, Scott, you know about basketball. Is Jordan Clarkson actually good? And I was like, I think he is. And then he does that, and I'm like, yeah, he probably is.
He's not great at defense, but he's a solid offensive player. Definitely worthy of a roster spot. Mark Jackson had a point during the game where he said that in the pre-draft process, he happened to be in an elevator with Jordan Clarkson and lectured him on hard work, which sounds like the worst experience you can ever have.
Yeah.
Just being in a 5x5 box with Mark Jackson.
Was he stuck in it?
I mean, I think they were going somewhere. I don't think it was he didn't mention that the elevator got stuck, but just
that'd be hilarious.
Even 30 seconds in an elevator with Mark Jackson lecturing you on hard work sounds amazingly terrible.
I feel bad for Mark Jackson. I feel like when you listen to him commentating, it always sounds like he's trying to avoid when he has to talk about the Warriors. He's really trying. Yeah, and he's so forcefully trying to avoid talking about how after he left, they immediately became one of the most amazing teams ever.
To be fair, he didn't get to coach Sean Livingston.
That's
Yeah.
true.
That was kind of the X factor, if you ask me.
Sure.
As soon as Sean Livingston got
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Everyone
was
knows
history.
that great offense starts with Sean Livingston.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Starts with Sean Livingston. I have nothing else to say.
Okay.
All right. Any other observations that anybody had throughout this preseason? Regular season. We're in the regular season now.
Not a ton. Do you want to preview tonight's games?
No, because we're probably going to release this
Fair.
after.
Fair. All right. Well then, I'm out of stuff.
All right. So we'll try to do these more often, and we might not be able to get Brian every time, or we can Skype you in a few times.
Sure.
All right.
Always
sounds
down
good.
for a guest spot.
Get him on the Subway Fresh Take hotline.
All right. Sounds good. Bye, everybody.
Bye.